Although
Oh, started.
there's like a wom sound in the background.
For me?
Yeah, it's coming from your end.
Motherfucking cock. Let's. Oh, here. I think I can put one of these things down. Yeah. It's probably the computer. Use this bathing suit. NBD.
Oh yeah, there it's on now.
All right. So you want to edit all this out?
Yeah, I'll just cut out the beginning.
All right. Welcome to the Game Theory Podcast. Welcome back to the Game Theory Podcast. This is the glorious return. I put a question mark because it's our third try.
Yes, we've been having technical issues. The gods of podcasts have been punishing us for the long hiatus, but I think we might have it down now. How was your summer, man? Let's pretend we haven't talked at all.
Oh, God. Horrible. But I got everything done. I had a bunch of milestones I needed to do. I think we mentioned that, before I left. Got my licensure exam, aced it, which is nice. And then dissertation proposal is Monday, so 2 days. Got that all written in like record time, and then not bragging on myself. I'm saying that's how hard I was working.
Yes.
And God, everything else. What else? I'm applying for internship.
Last we heard from you, we were going to do a running show. That didn't pan out.
Oh yeah. Okay, I need to tell you that. Okay, here's what happened. So they said we made it through all of the casting. Right, the casting director, who's actually our buddy. He just called us the other day for funsies. He wasn't our buddies previously. He just liked us a lot.
Yeah, it's like a nepotism thing. They just became friends over the course of the interview process.
Yeah, because I didn't honestly. When I don't give a fuck about something, I start just goofing off, and so I didn't give a fuck if I made it or not because it was good for me either way. If I make it on the show, great, I get a shot at $1 million. If I don't, I get time to do all the things I need to do that I really needed to do. So I was just acting goofy, and I think he liked that. So we passed all of that, and then they said you'll hear from us May 28th. I think was the date. And we said, all right, so we're waiting there, May 28th, all day, nothing. And I was like, so just to be clear, I contacted the actual company, not the casting people, because they'd already done their jobs. They isolated the last couple. And so they said, well, if you didn't hear from us, then, we can't say anything. We're under non-disclosure, but, not a good sign. And I was like, fuck. So, I took some time off. I was like, damn it, chilled for a while. We get a call on June 3rd. June 3rd.
Yeah.
May? Yeah, that's right. May, June. So June 3rd, so just in a few days, and they say, hey, can you guys leave tomorrow morning? We are actually voting on bringing you guys on because what happened was the casting people did their job. There's casting directors. They pick their favorites, and they up them. They cut everyone else. Well, we got upped, and then the the final person of the casting people were like, dude, we don't like that couple. They're out for some reason, right? They didn't like us, or at least we didn't make the cut.
They didn't like the cut of your jib, I believe was the reason.
Yeah. So they actually, chopped us and swapped in another one. So that my casting director's boss did that, and then we got passed on to the company. That's so now it's on the side of the people who like Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. Their people, their vice president saw the final picks and they saw us and they're like, wait, why didn't these people get picked? We've been monitoring this. They get pitches. I'm not going to explain the whole process, but they were kind of tagging along this whole time. And they're like, what happened to that couple? That was our favorite couple, the vice president said, of that company. And he's like, we wanted them. And the casting people were like, oh, well, we cut them. And they were like, well, we're going to vote to bring them back on, the production company, right? So, which is, I don't know how often that happens, but that was pretty honoring to me. I was like, dude, that's cool. This seems out of the ordinary. And he's like, yeah, it's weird, but can you guys come tomorrow? And I was like, no. What I said was, you have to give me some time. I got to contact. What I had to have done by this point is give a dissertation proposal first draft, and I didn't have that. That was my advisor was like, all right, fine, you can go in this weird situation, but you've got to have your proposal done. And that would have given me enough time. But I didn't have it. I was like, dude, I got to travel. We got to drop off our kiddos. We got to there's a lot of shit we got to do. We can't do that in an hour and a half, make sure that can happen. And they're like, we need a yes or no. And I was like, let me call you back in an hour. So I tried to contact my advisor to do all. It didn't pan out. So I had to say no, which was really shitty because we basically had the offer. Because I was like, wait, we definitely have this, right? And he was like, just like every time, we're not going to tell you yes or no, but we're voting as a production company here in an hour.
Fly out here tomorrow
to bring you in. Yeah, and we've got your tickets ready. And I was like, oh, okay. So which means I think yes. I interpret that as yes. And so, yeah, I had to say no because of my advisor, dude.
So what that means is there's an alternate timeline somewhere where you
Yeah.
said yes, and you are a celebrity who hangs out with Matt Damon all the time now.
Oh man, I know. He would have been like, "You look just like me." No, I get that occasionally.
This is
I don't agree.
this is the darkest timeline, is what we figured out.
Yeah. Oh Jesus, don't say that. Yeah. So that's kind of some sad news. But fortunately, he's been in contact with us. His name is Bradford. He called us about a new project. I guess we're going to try out for it. It's called The Wall. I don't give a shit. Honest. I don't care about any of this stuff. It's just a chance to win some money, and it's by LeBron James. It's called The Wall. You can Google it. I'm not going to tag along our listeners like I did before. I could give a fuck if it pans or not. I really don't care. But It's a game show based on quizzing, and I'm infamously good at quiz things. We go to Buffalo Wild Wings, we win prizes and stuff, and so if that's any indication, I'll be fine. Anyway, enough about that.
Yes,
that's something I do in my summer.
That was going to be a thing. You did some other things over the summer, but you were pretty busy either way.
Yeah, dude, did a lot of physical stuff. I don't care. Don't think anybody cares about that. But we're doing the trifecta this year, which is a Spartan thing. It's really hard. And my final race is coming up. 16 miles, 40 something or 50 obstacles. It's gonna be intense, and I'm gonna probably die, but it's fun.
Are the obstacles like emotional intimacy, fear?
Yeah, struggling with alcoholism.
Yeah, it's just like life obstacles as you run.
Yeah, maybe, man.
Oh, that'd be a sweet race.
No, it's usually just
crippling disappointment.
Yeah, parental disregard. Oh my god, that would be amazing. But no,
sweet. So speaking of obstacles, those are a thing in games, and this is my smooth transition. What about your gaming this summer? What have you been up to as far as
sick transition? This is why people listen. This quality content.
Yeah, right? It's it's not scripted. Like, if some people don't know that.
Yeah,
it's clearly not scripted.
You just riffed that, David?
Yeah, it's just off the cuff.
Wow,
no, I workshopped it a while.
Yeah, you would have had to, man. That was solid gold. Gaming, dude, I've played a decent amount because my free time I've spent either exercising or playing some games. So, damn, what have I played? That hit me off guard. It was so natural.
It came out of nowhere.
I legit beat a couple games. That I started playing Lost Planet 3. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I'm thinking of Little Big Planet. No, Lost Planet, is that the ice world? And
yeah,
you gotta stay warm. You gotta stay warm. It's a cold game.
3, yeah. Lost Planet 2 was was a much more fun, like, multiplayer kind of. You live on like a tropical island, but you're still collecting heat essence for whatever reason. But yeah, part 3 is ice.
I played the first one on the Xbox. Xbox One? Is that how old it is? Or the Xbox? Not the one. That was a dumb naming system. The first Xbox, the Xbox Classic.
Yeah, PlayStation 2, I think, is when I played it on. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so it must have been the first Xbox. I played it in college, and I didn't really care for it. It was fun for a while, but just the mechanic of always having to find heat, like I like to kind of explore at my leisure, and I don't like being rushed around, like always looking for resources. So didn't care for it. What about the third one, Lost Planet 3? What'd you think?
Still playing through it, but so far from the reviews, I heard that it's fun at first and then it dies off. So I'm at that fun at first part, so it's hard to say. Like
the honeymoon phase.
Me, dude, my thing with games is everyone's got their motivations, and one of mine is just discovering new worlds. Like that's why I like D&D so much. I love getting into a new campaign with a DM who crafted this world, and you're like, whoa! You just kind of it's that sense of wonderment.
Yeah, it's everything's new.
Yeah, the possibilities, and it's that precipice of potentiality and alliteration, and,
yeah.
And that's where I'm at. So I could see how this.
But it's a precarious precipice because it can go the other way.
That's a good point.
So speaking of that, have you been seeing the new game, No Man's Sky, that came out?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? It's been kind of a controversial issue.
All right, okay. I also saw Suicide Squad, and I also saw Batman.
All right, so are you prefacing this with, like, I famously have bad taste in things?
Yeah. Well, no. This I haven't figured out why I have bad taste in some things. Like sometimes I will nail a review, right? And people are like, yeah, that's exactly what everyone else is saying. Sometimes I don't, and it's often that second category that makes me curious. And this one is because I looked at the game and I was like, yep. Don't know what you expected. Like that's what I did with Batman vs Superman. I went and watched it and I was like, yep, Like I loved it. I honestly loved that movie because I didn't.
You had low expectations.
I've read the comics, so I know that there's a lot of nuance they can't possibly get out in 2 hours. They can't, and so I was like, that's just well.
So they have to do the opposite and put 5 more comics into the 2 hours.
Yeah, they put in.
We'll never fit this whole comic in there. Let's just go ahead and put all the comics in.
I guess maybe it's the way I watch it or interpret. Perception is reality. It must be the way I'm interpreting it. Like because I guess I just go like when Doomsday came in, I refused to watch commercials, so I had no idea that happened. I was like, what the fuck is this thing coming out of Zod? And this thing popped out, and I was like, what? But I thought, oh, this is an interesting way to introduce them fighting together. Okay, unification of got it.
Yeah.
And so they start fighting, and then they're like, it's your Doomsday, and I was like, the fuck. So there was a moment where I was like, and then the electricity. Okay, fine. But
okay.
I guess I saw it as like I found it amusing more than anything else. I was like, okay, whoa, it's Doomsday with a face beam. Like I don't know. And with Suicide Squad, it's the same thing. I was like, well, they can't have Joker in a whole lot of it. So any bit I see, I'll be not gratuitous. I'll be grateful for. So when he came in, I guess I wasn't upset like everyone was. I didn't watch commercials, so I didn't know how much to expect. So I was actually impressed by how much he showed up compared to the storyline. I'm not spoiling anything. I'm just saying. And I loved the movie. I thought it was great. But I didn't expect. I mean, it's a B list. It's Harley Quinn. It's not even a joke. It's Harley Quinn. It's like, Deadshot. Yeah, I mean,
Boomerang.
Captain Boomerang.
Captain Boomerang.
If you're looking for a summer blockbuster, you're in the wrong theater. I don't know. I went expecting a B-list shitty movie, and I loved it for that.
So the analogy here is people's expectations probably killed the game more.
Yeah, what the fuck? I saw this game, and I remember the hype coming out, and I was like, this is stupid. That's just going to be a weird exploration.
Oh, yeah, we talked about it in one of our E3 episodes. We're just like, oh, you just fly around and explore. I don't know if it's my cup of tea, but I can see why that'd be fun.
Yeah, and then people were like, you just fly around and explore? What the fuck? I was like, what did you... I don't understand what commercials you watch. Maybe that's why I don't watch commercials.
Do you think that's why Minecraft, which is the same thing, but without the spaceships, like you just explore? Do you think that's? Yeah. Do you think it's the lack of expectation that made that game such a hit because it just came out of nowhere with no previews?
That's my running theory. I don't know.
Okay, that's because that was the same way. Like I saw everyone just losing their shit over this game. They're like, oh, it's the worst. What a disappointment! It's too big. There's too many planets, and there's nothing worth finding on them. Like, yeah, if there's 1 million planets, they're not all going to be jam packed with adventure. That's the whole. point of it. So I also found that a little strange that it got such negative reviews when in reality it was just a fly around. Like it's a proof of concept game. It's like, can we make a universe the size of the real universe almost and see what happens?
Yeah, I don't. Anyway, it's like a green. If you went into that looking at it as like a Steam Greenlight project, like I did, I'm very impressed with what they did. But
it was a AAA $60 game. That might be part of the issue too.
Well, but then. So the way I interpreted that, whenever a AAA title kind of was like, oh, hey, let's get behind this, I was like, oh, okay, that's stupid. They're not going to get their money's worth. Anyway, like, I didn't go, oh, it's going to get better, because I don't see how it could. Like, you can't possibly program enough complexity into trillions of planets, more than trillions, however many septillions or whatever.
Hundreds of trillions.
Yeah, you just can't. I don't understand what they were looking for. So, I mean, I see how you could make the game better. I get that. I'm not saying that they hit some glass ceiling. I'm saying that I didn't expect that. I don't think anyone should have.
I think what happened to me is it had echoes of remember when we were young whippersnappers, when we were the age of most of these kids who were giving it bad Steam reviews. Our game was Spore that did that. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Spore comes out. It's by this legendary game developer, the guy who creates, was it Will Wheaton? No, not Will Wheaton.
Maximilian. Is it Sam Maximilian or something?
Sam and Max Freelance Police, I believe was his name. But he's the he's the guy who created The Sims. He created SimCity. He's just like everything he touches turns to gold. And so he's making this game called Spore. And the idea is like you start off on the cellular level and you can evolve and you create these whole worlds eventually with like things that evolve from a single cell. And now they've got space travel and they've got cultures and societies. And like if you evolve from a carnivore, you're a more warlike culture and all this great stuff. And it sounded too good to be true, but we didn't know that yet because we were young idealists that we hadn't been burned yet. And then when Spore came out, it was a phenomenal disappointment. People were it just wasn't like it delivered on everything on paper, but it felt so non-fleshed out on each level of it that nobody really, I won't say nobody, but I certainly was left wanting more.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So Will Wright is the person.
Will Wright. Well, it's just Sam Maximilian. Hey guys.
No,
source right here.
It's because he works for Maxis or whatever, right? Like the game company. That's probably where that came from.
Yeah, Maxis. That's it. Okay.
But yeah, that was so when No Man's Sky, I've been just watching. I haven't bought it because I'm super poor right now. But when No Man's Sky came out, I was like, oh, it's basically this generation's Spore. That's what's going on here, and it instantly made sense to me.
Maybe that was it. Maybe I've been burned so many times I just lost that. But I don't know. Like I said, I fucking loved Suicide Squad. I watched the whole thing. I was smiling through most of it. I mean, I saw the errors, and then I didn't like the Harley Quinn. I'm a big fan of Harley Quinn.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, sexually. No, I'm not going to deny that, but I'm also going to say I just like the character. I think she's cool. It's the foil, the literary foil. If you've ever heard of literary stuff, probably not. But I'll
like
explain
in
to you.
fencing. Is that?
Yeah. So I'm probably misusing it.
Like what you wrap your chicken in when you want to preserve the moisture?
No. This is a prestigious academic term. Don't worry about it. You can't possibly wrap your head around the literary stuff. So, but she represents is a contrast, but also very similar to Joker, and who I'm very intrigued with. So, I probably missed
that Nietzsche element of staring too long into the void and then becoming the monster that you're studying. Yeah,
and also. Okay, so one of the themes throughout you and I's conversation off this podcast is how people who should know things should often don't use those things, right? So I'm in a clinical psychology program that self-admittedly is anti-behavioral in its contingencies. So the rules and regulations they've set up are actively work against the system.
Right.
And they
like if you understand
that.
Human behavior, they're not the rules you would design.
And they admit it. Like the faculty laugh about it and say, "Yup," and then do nothing. So and like sometimes parenting experts come home and because they've been working with kids so long all day as a job, they come home and they neglect their kids. Things like this happen. And so
Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn falling victim to Stockholm syndrome, and then they interpreted her as psychotic breaks in this one, and some of the comics they do too. But I don't really love that. But I like the idea of more of like a self-deluded person, like the Joker, who he's got narcissism and histrionic, sure, and antisocial, but he's also there's some self-delusion there. He hints at it in the Killing Joke. Remember, he's like, it's a sweet escape, right?
Right. That is the escape from reality. It's the emergency.
Yeah, it's a willing self-delusion, and that's what I think is so interesting about him and Harley Quinn. So I didn't really love how they played her out. They were a little too sexualized with her. I mean, Margot Robbie's beautiful, but it was felt a little anime fan service to me, just a little bit, and I never really got down with that. So anyway, the game No Man's Sky, I guess I felt the same way about it. I got exactly what I want to do out of it, which is, okay, you fly around and get minerals, and there's a galactic federation you can fuck around with somewhere in the middle of the universe. Awesome.
Yeah. It's space Minecraft. Just lower your expectations a minute.
Yeah, without any of the building. So
yeah, just the resource gathering.
Yeah, pretty weird.
That's fair. There's no building? I thought you could, can you upgrade your ship?
Oh, yeah, I think you can. Okay, so maybe I'm off there, but I know that you can upgrade your ship.
But you can't, build, buildings and, shelters and stuff.
Yeah, I just mean these cool things you're seeing on, Reddit of people, busting their ass.
People making working Pokemon games inside of Minefield.
Or Westeros.
Yes. Cool. Speaking of Pokemon, with another awesome transition.
Pokemon Go, dude.
Pokemon Go, yeah, that came out, and we both played it. Let's how'd that go for you? Man, this workshopping's working out for me. I'm really stepping up my game here.
Damn, all that time off. Sharpen the skills.
Sharpen the wit.
I don't know, man. I maybe you and I have a different experience with this, but mine, I like it. It's fun. I've stopped playing it recently, though. So
yeah, now that I'm working, I don't go on 6-mile walks anymore in the middle of the day to look for Pokemon, so it's getting less usage for me too. I think overall the users are kind of dropping off now that it's kind of been around for the whole summer. But I thought it was a really fun thing while it happened, and I really enjoyed just the weird sense of camaraderie of walking around and just seeing other people looking at their phones and looking around. I'm like, oh, he's going for that Pokestop. That's where I'm headed. Yep. I know what they're up to. Or dude, I was walking by my apartment complex and this balcony full of 10-year-olds saw me playing and they're like, Pokemon Go! There's a Charmander down the street! And I was like, thanks, bros! And just went down that way.
That nerd commodity or community was awesome. We had a guy he goes, hey man, and because I had my phone out and I actually wasn't doing Pokemon Go at the time. I was looking at parking something, and he goes, hey, if you're playing Pokemon Go, there's a Snorlax over there. Everyone's freaking out. I was like, whoa! And so I jogged over there and caught a Snorlax. It was a baby one, which sucked, little, tiny CP, but whatever. Yeah. That was fun. And then also I went on a Pokemon pub crawl where and this is smart, dude. They were like, we'll keep up lure modules at each of these Pokestops that are also bars. You sit there, you drink, you eat, whatever. You catch Pokemon with everyone else. Everyone's got on incense and lure modules, so everyone's catching stuff, and you just have this camaraderie. And then they did Pokemon jokes, which actually Amy won the contest, which is weird. My wife won the bad Pokemon jokes.
Poker puns.
Like stand-up comedy, yeah. And then anyway, so I don't know. It was fun while it lasted. I'm very glad that it brought out the inner nerd, and my kids are now into Pokemon Show because of it. So hey,
yeah,
overall win, dude.
The old '90s cartoon.
Yeah,
nice. Well, for my summer gaming, mostly The Witcher 3, and basically I knew that I'd never have time to play these big open world games to completion the way I like to do. So I devoted it The Witcher 3 with the expansions, which, by the way, the third one, Heart of Blood and Wine, the last one. So the second expansion of the third kind of story is so good. It's so good. Like the music, it takes place less in so the Witcher universe is kind of this dark, gritty, like fantasy realm, right? Like everything's shitty, everyone's starving and covered. They got poop all over them, and they're like, "Please save us from the Griffin, my lord." And you're like, "All right, I got this." But then you get called down to the summer realm, like it's like the Flower Kingdom of Game of Thrones, right? Like where the Marcells are from.
Yeah.
Or it's basically medieval. Instead of medieval, it's fairy tale France. So it's like France as told through its stories. There's giants coming out of towers. There's Rapunzel. There's all these kind of more fairy tale elements, curses and witches and all these things. So it's kind of like a different, less dark fantasy, more bright, like the color palette.
High fantasy.
Yeah, high fantasy. Different color palette, like bright. Just really beautiful, like a nice contrast from the muck and filth I've been crawling through for like the previous 100 hours of gameplay, right?
Yeah.
So I really liked it from the story to the soundtrack to everything. Like it's a really great game. And then I moved on to Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Wii U, and I beat that. I put in about another 100 hours on that one. And when I say beat, I mean I finished it. I got to the credits, right? So there's still tons of stuff and endgame stuff I haven't done yet. Tons of quests in my log.
That game?
I really liked it because I love discovering things. That's why I play games, is not to discover worlds the way you do, where you like to find out what the setting's like. I just like seeing what's over the next plateau, or stumbling into a random cave, or that kind of stuff. So that game is like tailor designed for me. It's hard to give it like a recommendation for everybody because it's so big and complex. It's gonna make a lot of people feel lost. Not only the world is big, but the gameplay, like the mechanics, there's so many fiddly bits and twiddly parts, and changing your gear and your styles and your fighting. So it's got a lot going on that will intimidate people who are used to more Western style games that kind of give you tutorials and Batman, press the Z button, now look up there, now you know how to look up with your Z button. They just throw you in there and say, hey, there's an instruction manual, read it if you want. Anyway, here we go.
Yeah, that was overwhelming. It was awesome, though.
They do tier the mechanics in a way where you don't get your first mech till about 60 hours in, then you start learning mech stuff. They don't get the flight module for another 20 hours. So they do kind of like give it to you piece by piece, but they do not hold your hand at all. So that will turn off a lot of people.
So was the Skrull worth it, the flying?
Oh, yeah. So good. Once you get your Skrulls, those are the mechs, it just changes. The world just kind of shrinks a little bit, and you get like a bird's eye view, literally, because you're seeing all that stuff that used to be running through the foliage, and now I'm just flying over, and I'm like, oh man, these trees are totally different from up here, and those bad guys can't hit me. It's like if you got to fly in real life, like the world would get a different perspective for you. So I really enjoyed it. I put it aside for now because I want to play. I've got this weird Tokyo Mirage Fire Emblem crossover game. So it takes place in modern Japan, and you're a pop star with and it's just dealing with the entertainment industry in Japan, but also fighting RPG battles using Fire Emblem mechanics. So playing that right now, it's really weird. But you know what? You say that every time I play a game like Harvest Moon, and you end up loving it. So,
I've lost my ability to argue with you about those.
It's weirdly fun, but I'm doing that right now, and then I've still got a huge. I'd hope to get farther in my backlog of games this summer, but those two enormous open world games, kind of took up all my time.
Dude, speaking of Harvest Moon, I finally got my hands on Stardew Valley and played it. Don't do that.
Yeah, I saw you on Steam, and I was like, he's lost to us.
I was gone. Like, I legit just, like, there was, like...
Because it was your summer of busyness. I was like, Jeremiah, are you mad? You can't do this during your summer of busyness?
It was stupid. Like, it legit hurt me a few times. But that game is so fun. It's like Harvest Moon, but there's also, like, there's fishing, there's industry, there's mining, there's, like, Minecraft-type stuff, there's adventuring, there's... relationships, just like that. But with the it's so fun. Holy cow! Like I just couldn't. It scratched that itch bad for me. Then I had to quit. Like I'm in my first year. I'm finishing up the winter season. Just finishing the first year, and I'm already like, I'm in deep. I was like, I gotta go. So I went to a Spartan race, and we were gone for like 4 days for our anniversary. Me and Amy, we had 10 years, you know. And when I came back, I was just looking at it. And I haven't installed it yet because it's the demon. The demon inside me just really wants to play it, but damn, that game is so addicting. I fucking loved it. I don't. And the weird thing is, it's like that work when we talked about those working games back in that episode. It's like I'm not acknowledging that it's fun. That's the weirdest part. And it's got that one more turn aspect because the days. And you've got these things queued up from the day before where you're like, oh, I finally get to reap that harvest of this. And then I also get my relationship thing is up tomorrow. So I can go give him a gift.
Designed to play off of like the way your brain has already been wired to want to why we discovered agriculture, right? Like, oh, if I plant things and they pop up later, that's a very rewarding experience for me.
Yeah, and you've got your high cash crops that are taking longer, and you got your little crops that come up quick, you know, just supply and demand. So the fast growing crops cost less. Or sell for less. So like I got my little peppers to keep me going, but I'm like, ooh, my melons are coming in like 2 days if I can just get there. And then I'm like, oh, but also my fishing, I put those crab pots out, so I got to go get those. It was bad, David. I was trying to win fishing contests. It was bad.
Did you get hitched in your first year?
No, not quite. I mean, I'm at the full relationship. I just have to get to the guy. You got to buy a ring from a guy who sailors in the rain, and it hasn't rained yet, so.
Just waiting for a rainy day, as you do in romance. I remember when you were talking about marrying Amy, and you were like, just waiting for that guy to show up on the pier in the rain.
He's the only one who can approve my marriage.
He's got to give me a ring. So it makes more sense than 6 months' salary. That's a weird tradition. Start off your relationship deep in debt. It's best advice I can give to any young married couples.
Yeah, that seems weird to me.
Spend a lot of money on the wedding and the ring, and then just fight about finances for the rest of your lives.
So weird.
So my brother came out and we played. I've been putting this game off until he got here. We played.
I thought you meant as gay when you said that. I was like,
speaking of marriage,
drop that in, yeah.
No, my brother came out to Colorado and we played Star Fox Zero, which is a game that I had read was just better with a second player. So I'd been waiting for him, and it was a lot of fun. It uses what I love about the Wii U, and the reason I understand why the Wii U died and failed as a system is this idea of having two people playing the same game but in vastly different ways. And so you played it with your kids, but let me tell you, when you have an adult playing it with you, it's a lot more fun because they can aim. So for people who haven't played Star Fox Zero, what you do is it's very similar to the N64 Star Fox. Even some of the lines they'll use, like, "Hey Fox, get this guy off me!" and like, "Hey Fox, he was mine. Good luck." Yeah, the good luck. It's very similar to that, except there's an option you can play where you are flying the ship, and in this case, my co-pilot, my brother, is got the Wii U gamepad, and that's like a more precise targeting thing. So I can still shoot from the ship, but he can kind of look around and shoot in 90 degrees in every direction. So I can fly over things, he can shoot their weak points, I can fly under them, he can shoot up, all over the place. Lots of little instances like that. And later on in the game, there's one where I'm flying a hovercraft thing, like a little helicopter hovercraft drone, and then he's controlling this miniature robot that drops down from a rope and goes and hacks things. So little things like that are really fun additions to the Star Fox game.
Couch co-op, man. Nintendo does it right.
Yeah, they really do. Online, they never have quite figured out, but couch co-op for sure.
Couch co-op, way of the future. That's what everyone says. So,
yeah, everyone's like,
I don't know why they're doing it. So
get your friends in one room. That's true. We've talked about that too. There is something to be said for being in the same room, even with Dungeons and Dragons. Like, we can play online, but it's more fun in person.
It's true. I mean, they got it right, but in their tiny little island, they don't seem to, compared to the U.S., they don't seem to understand that you and I, for example, live 22 hours apart. So
yeah, it's it's not the most economically advantageous thing to focus on, but I do love it when those things line up and we can actually play.
For she's also played Total Warhammer.
Mm-hmm. You were pretty excited about that for a while. How'd that go?
It was good. I mean, it's one of these I don't know what you expected things, but it's exactly what you expect. It's Warhammer. It's just like Warhammer or Total War, except imagine if you added fantasy elements. So you've got like the winds of magic, and you can like gamble on those at the beginning of a fight. And if you gamble, it either goes up or down. You know, it's a gamble. And then you got like flying units, you've got like spell casting units, you've got heroes, you've got, these monsters units, you've got...
So the factions, instead of like the French have good cavalry and the British have longbows, it's more like the undead can turn you into a horrible monster and supplement their ranks.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot more unique elements. Like the undead, for example, they deteriorate based on their morale. So they're as strong as they are in morale, right? Like their frontline forces. But they've also got ones that have like, indomitable morale, right? Like these kind of cavalry or hero units, And then they've got monster units, and if you want to stack those are really good against morale, and they're also good against anyone but pikes, and not cavalry. So you can send them in, and they do terror, so they're better against certain strategies, like the undead, for example, get some monsters in there. And so it's a lot more nuance. And then you got your big time magic users, which are the humans. They're very good with the winds of magic. So it's not that they're really good against one specific thing like cavalry or artillery. They're just you're able to fill in the ranks fine, but it's more if you like that point and click gameplay of like, a fireball here, protective force here, resurrect there, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It's the same as Total War, but just more of that, rock, paper, scissors times 18, not 18, that's a little complex, but like 5 or 6 times 6. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot more to manage and think about. It's more active. It's everything you like in the Total War series, I think, but if you like the Total War, if you like Warhammer's setting, this is that. So pretty fun. I like it. Nice. I really enjoyed it, but I played it exactly as long as I do every Total War series. I played a few of the factions for a while, and then I found one I really liked, played it all the way through, started as another one, played it halfway through. So,
yeah, sounds pretty typical for a Total War.
It's crazy. The Chaos Knights, so one of the typical bad guys, they don't have a faction. You start off as one guy, and you go start pillaging and ravaging or ransacking villages, and you gain followers that way. And so you have to stay at war, just like in Warhammer. You have to stay at war to remain powerful, and that's how you grow your units. And then you get more followers by camping down and trying to recruit specific ones. But you also gain power that way. It's weird. It's a new mechanic. They have a lot of complexity to it. So it's really fun. If you like Warhammer, I suggest getting it. Not at the full price. I never pay full price for Total Wars. So if you do like that, then do it. But I always pay it.
Steam sale.
Yeah, I've always paid it around 60%, like $30 or so, 35. Anyway,
nice.
Yeah, not bad. Anything else for you?
No, just been doing the usual suspects. I started XCOM 2.
Yes,
up on Steam sale, and so I've crafted our characters as you do. And everyone that ever plays XCOM that I've ever spoken to is always going to make their friends as their units. And XCOM 2 makes it easier because you can actually change things like their nationality and stuff. So you don't have to wait to recruit an American and then hope he becomes a sniper or whatever. So I've got
just like Donald Trump wants you can surround yourself with Americans.
Yep, as you do, American snipers. So, I made you, and then on this one you actually did change their backstories. So like I deleted the backstory and I replaced it with like So the new backstory for you in my XCOM universe is that the aliens came and they infiltrated the government, and then they shut down all CBT, cognitive behavioral psychology, because they want to get all the humans hooked on their psychiatric drugs, as part of their population control.
Yeah.
And that was the last straw for you, because psychiatry became the state-sponsored thing, and psychology became like obsolete, banned, and so you joined the resistance.
Oh my god, so realistic. I can see that.
Yeah,
I'm pretty passionate about it.
It's like Abed. I can predict how you'll act in strange situations that would never happen.
Yeah, yeah. Dude, I played a game, and I really do want to talk about this one. Inside. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
Inside. Yeah, it's made by the people who made the game that was like all black and white pretty much, and had a little boy. Limbo, yeah, by those people. I can't remember the name of the studio, but they put out this one, and first I was very skeptical because it starts out exactly like Limbo starts out. You're a little boy, there's no spoilers. It's literally the beginning. There's no explanation. It just pops down, and you're this little boy, and you start discovering you can move by just touching the gamepad. Well, because you're kind of waiting for like a prologue. You're like, what's going to happen? Nothing happens. And same thing happens here, but it's colorized this time. But it's still stylized. He has no face and stuff. But he stumbles out of the woods, and he's just standing there. And I was like, don't want to play that game, so I never got it. But I started getting really good reviews, and people were like, I don't want to talk about this game because it's an experience, and you just need to figure it out. It's a whole thing. And I was like, what? And I love that kind of stuff. So I bought it, and I am not sad. It was $20 price point, so it's right in my market.
Mm-hmm.
I bought it, and you can finish it in probably like 8 hours or 10. I think I finished it in maybe 6 to 10. I can't remember exactly, but it feels about that long. Full day sitting, but couple 2 or 3 days of casual playing. And I don't want to spoil it. I hate to do this exactly like everyone else did in reviews, but I don't want to spoil it. It's not what you expect, and it's an experience. No words are spoken. So what I will say is it's really cleverly designed in that it communicates a lot in very little time with no text, which is, I'm a big fan of that from a programming side of things. I hate when it's like, look up, or you're in a dystopia, or whatever. And this one, I don't even know if you are in it. Okay, you figure stuff out as you go along. So as you're walking, for example, in the very beginning, you just start walking and you realize, I can only walk. I can't run. I can't do anything. So you're like, all right. So I'm a little boy who can walk fast, kind of jogs, light jog. And then, you fall off stuff and it doesn't kill you. Okay, good. Long stuff kills you. Little stuff doesn't seem to. It gives you about the amount. And then it shows people walking in the background, but they have white masks on. So it's already like, they're not like me. And that seems a little unsettling. So I'm going to avoid them, I guess. So I kind of walked. And then as you walk by, they shine the light towards where you were. And that naturally evokes a little bit of fear. You're kind of like, whoa. Oh, I guess I don't want to be seen. So I start running in, and they start kind of walking towards that section, and I ran away, right? Later I tested it and determined what would happen if I just stood in the light, and they do come up and shoot you, but it never had to happen to me. And so I started running, and I was like, okay. And then all of a sudden they're walking around with dogs and flashlights around where I was, and I'm like, oh, so I'm someone they want to find. That wasn't just a chance encounter. This is, they're looking for me or people like me, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a series, and this is all in the first 30 seconds of the game, so I'm not spoiling anything, but that's how the whole game goes. It's a series of just these weird discoveries you make of what's going on and more. I mean, I don't want to ruin anything, so I'll let you experience it. If you like those kind of games, I highly recommend it, but I don't want to get your hopes up either. Don't walk into this like Suicide Squad and be like, it's gonna be great, good. Just walk in and be like, this is gonna be a weird experience. I'm gonna see what happens.
Yeah.
So
cool. So
it's weird.
Yeah, check it out. Inside,
yeah, and the ending, is also just unexpected. It's weird. Okay, you'll see.
So games coming up in 3 days. This week on the 30th of August, Attack on Titan for the PlayStation 4 is coming out. So coincides with Payday. That might be a temptation I fall into. So I might have more talk about at that point. But media recommendations over the summer, I watched Stranger Things. If you guys haven't seen that, it's did you see it on Netflix?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's I think most people saw it. It's just one of those things. Netflix didn't really advertise it very well. Like sometimes they're like, "Hey, Orange is the New Black. Here's an ad on everything. Watch Orange is the New Black. It's a thing we're doing." This one kind of came out of nowhere, and people just started talking about it. So I saw it. I clicked on it. It really feels like the producers, the directors, the writers of the show are trying to make an homage to 80s movies that ends up being better written than all the 80s movies they're being homages to, because they've got 8 hours to kind of develop all the side characters and really flesh it out. Yeah. So and plus the D&D nostalgia really hit me in my sweet spot. The idea of just hanging out with your buddies after school and playing Dungeons and Dragons in the basement, it's gonna resonate with a lot of nerds who listen to this podcast, for example. So if you guys haven't seen Stranger Things, I would recommend it. What do you think?
Yeah, this is another one of those expectation versus what you receive kind of things. Mm. It plays really well off of having no expectations. I don't know what I would have been like if this was if I had been pumped for this, but I came into it and I was like, I got the viral marketing worked on me too. These people were like, hey, dude, you need to watch this. I watched it and I just kept. It's been a while since I've had to hit the next button and see what the next episode was. But they're kind of writing themselves into a corner. This happens a lot where you go, where are they going with this? Attack on Titan, same thing. Where you're like, this is going to be either the best series ever, or they're going to write themselves in a corner and be like, it was all a dream, or whatever in the end.
Right.
Or you're on a different planet or something. There's a book like that called Pines by Blake Crouch, and it was one of those that he was writing himself in a corner, but he ended up delivering brilliantly in the end. It's kind of like Ender's Game too, where you're reading and you're like, there's only so many pages left. Well, you better do something fast with this. So I'm waiting for this show before I truly recommend it. But it's carried by a great cast. I mean, I rarely talk about how good actors are, but
especially child actors. It's really hard to get child actors that don't suck, and these kids pull it off.
They sell it. So yeah, it's great. A lot of charm to it. A lot of intrigue, and overall, yeah, they're painting themselves in a corner. So I'm excited to see what happens.
So have you finished the first season?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's gonna be another show I watched this summer on Tim's recommendation. Psycho-Pass is a show that had a really fantastic first season, and then the second season just was not up to snuff. So I hope it doesn't go that route.
I have to admit, Attack on Titan, I watched the first season, obviously, and then I started reading the manga. I'm going to say manga because I'm an American. Freedom, bitch. And manga is how I say it. Well, I read the manga, season 2 type era, like what happens next, and I kind of wish I wouldn't have. It feels very stupid. I'm starting to go, what? It couldn't be. So a lot of psychology and a lot of human interaction in general, and logic, you look at where someone is, and then you go, is that really where they plan to be? Let's figure that out. And there's ways to test for that kind of, informally in your head. Mm. And one of them is to imagine them writing the story with this in mind, right? Mm. You wouldn't have started the story that way if this is what you had originally thought was where it was going. You know what I mean? Like, right. Some stories that do that. Like I said, that Blake Crouch book, Pines, or Ender's Game, like the end, you're like, oh, this wasn't a convenient write-off. This is what it was. Like,
it's been building the whole time.
Yeah, this is like, it's happening now, and I'm like, I'm not gonna spoil Attack on Titan, of course, but I'm not excited. Like, if say season 2 comes out in anime, I'm gonna watch it, but I'm gonna be a hipster about it.
Well, I'm not gonna be happy about it.
I'm gonna be real. And my mangas need to be a certain way.
I got high standards for my manga.
I'm a connoisseur.
But I do recommend season 1 of Psycho-Pass if anyone hasn't seen that. It's a sci-fi, which is pretty rare. Good sci-fi, especially in anime, is pretty hard to come by. You got your Cowboy Bebops and your Ghost in the Shells, but it's not as common of a trope as or setting as the other ones. So it's in a dystopian future. So it's kind of a cyberpunk dystopia where psychology and neuroscience has gotten so advanced that they can scan your brains just from street lamps as you walk by, and they can tell if you have the kind of brain that's going to be more likely to break a law in the future. And so it's got a little bit of a Minority Report idea of, we can stop you before you commit the crime, take you in for government required therapy, and then make it so you're a good citizen again. So the whole population is it's like a crime-free zone, and then occasionally a crime will happen, but they use their scanning, like, oh, okay, well, of course, you were a latent criminal. That's why didn't we catch this earlier? So it's this whole kind of idea of free will, and the show brings in a lot of philosophy. It brings in Rousseau and both European and Japanese schools of thought on philosophy and free will and utopia and human society, and what makes the good life worth living, and what's the role of art in society. It tackles a lot of really kind of interesting humanities issues that we think about in school but rarely get to see explored in anime. So I really liked it for that.
I'll have to check that out. I'm currently catching up to Daredevil, so might be a minute. I really like I guess another time where I agree with the critics. People were like, oh, said, it was pretty intriguing, kind of a sleeper hit, and then Wilson Fisk, so Kingpin, was good. He's not the comic book Kingpin, but he's a cool variant, and I kind of agree.
I like Wilson Fisk a lot in that one.
Yeah.
And Jessica Jones surprised me by being such a great show too. Like, it's been a good year for TV.
Yeah, I think people are starting to realize TV where it's at. Partly because it plays on that expectation thing we're talking about, where you don't expect much out of a TV show because of funding. So when one blows you away, it has a lower bar, a lower standard. But if you go and pay for a movie, like I paid because I ate snacks there, I paid $27 or something because I had nachos and the drink.
Instead of getting it for free with your Netflix subscription.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I know what I'm buying into. I rarely watch movies because of that, because I'm like, I don't think it's going to be worth that money. So I just wait. But, yeah, anyway. Suicide Squad was good. Shut up, haters.
Yeah.
It's exactly what you should have expected. Like, I guess, maybe I'm
you get a mixed message, because you're like, it's good, I loved it. It's what you should have expected. You knew it was going to be shitty.
Well, I mean, it's like this.
I did like it, but don't spend money to go see it in the theater.
No. If you invite someone to a pool party, a party at your house, right? And I just go, like this. This is how I invite them. I go, I don't know, you want to come over? We'll invite a couple people, bring a couple beers, right? You come in expecting a certain thing, and your bar of satisfaction is very low because you're fucking an adult and you know how to expect things. But if you're told, like, if someone's like, dude, I've been playing this for 6 years, it's my 10-year anniversary of bachelor party. I don't know, something that has a huge hype to it. We've been planning, and then you show up and it's the exact same experience we just talked about. You're rightful to be upset about that, but there's a level where it falls on you. Like if they go, this is going to be the greatest party ever, it's going to be nuts, dude. And you're like, well, when is it? And you go, tomorrow. And you go, when did you start planning? And you're like, I don't know, later. And I'm like, that's on you. If you came in expecting a lot, I kind of hold you responsible. So whenever I went and watched that, I was like, that's exactly what I expected. A little bit of Jared Leto, more than they should have done, but other things got cut, so it's exactly what I expected. And then Harley Quinn wasn't exactly perfect, but Margot Robbie isn't a method op actor, so who cares? And then who else? Like I don't know. It's fucking Will Smith. It's Will Smith as Deadshot. He never plays anyone but Will Smith, so he's playing Will Smith in that outfit. What did you expect? And it's going to be playful and silly. Look at how they advertise it. It was like pink and purple and green and
just silly.
Yeah, just
I'll never understand the decision to have combat scenes where you have a fucking ninja doing cool ninja moves, but the focus is on Will Smith pointing at things with his wrist. Like, that's not an exciting fight. Point.
I mean,
it's on the karate, maybe.
What did you expect? I mean, he's Deadshot. Like, I mean, it's like watching Spider-Man. Like, Spider-Man, you can expect he's going to be flying around on webs. If they're like, I'm just not a acrobatic type of fighter. I wouldn't watch the movie and I didn't like it. And I'm like, what the fuck were you going to watch that for then? Like, what?
What I'm hearing is, like, people are going to McDonald's and they're not getting the gourmet burger they had hoped for. And you're like, what do you expect? Except that in this case, the McDonald's is a $27 burger, apparently.
Yeah. But if you went in knowing that, like at a music festival, you're not going to up your expectation of the burger.
Right.
You understand
when
that
I was at Disney World and paying like $15 for a burger, and it tasted like the ones you get in the school cafeteria when you were in high school.
Yeah.
I was like, well, that sucks. But I wasn't like up in arms starting Reddit posts about it.
Yeah, but imagine you had gone in and willfully made that decision. Like, you were like, I'm going to eat fair food. I know that it sucks, and I know I'm going to pay money for it. All right. Like, that's how I feel about that. That's how I feel about Batman versus Superman. I mean, come on. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to get too salty about it. I'm just saying. Same thing with No Man's Sky. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong? Why did you pay $60 for a game where that all the advertising said this is just an open world thing? I don't get it.
Yeah.
I guess that's just...
I just avoid things that don't look like they're worth the money, and that saves me a lot of saltiness.
I really like Suicide Squad, though. But I don't know, whatever. Who cares? So, anything else? I feel like we should probably say something else in our comeback.
We should probably explain the new format of how the shows are going to be coming out.
Yes. Oh, yeah, because I'm going to be insanely busy. In fact, I shouldn't have taken off this weekend. But we're going to do bi-weekly, so every other week. That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And, be a little shorter format and that kind of thing, just to make sure it's manageable and that we don't end up taking a super long hiatus because it's too much to come back to.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense.
Yeah. It does. If it's a 2-hour show every week, and that can be intimidating when you have a lot on your plate. So we're just going to, every other week, do a show. You guys can listen to it, or you don't have to listen to it. It's free either way, so enjoy it.
Yeah. So
and that's the theme of our episode. What did you expect?
That's what we should call it. What did you expect? Like,
what did you expect?
Oh, man. All right. Well, I guess that's probably it. We don't have much else to say. So, thanks for hanging out, dudes. And dudettes. We'll see you guys next time on the Game 3 podcast in 2 weeks.
Yes. Welcome back.